All right, all right. Welcome everybody to the first edition of Winner's Circle. This is going to be USN's betting show. I am Ace. Y'all know me from all the other shows that I happen to be on every single week. And we got my boy Mike. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Good, good. Now, I've been wanting a show where we can talk sports betting for a long time, and I'm so glad that we brought you in with us. That we're able to finally get some bets on, the Super Bowl. I know we kind of want to do this show last week. Ran into a little bit of snag on my end with the technology aspect of it, but today is the day, the big game, Super Bowl, and there's prop bets and all kinds of stuff that everybody likes to play on. Me personally, I'm a parlay kind of guy. The least amount of money I have to spend to make the most is always a route that I like to take. So, Mike, why don't you tell a little bit about what your kind of style is when you bet, and then tell us a little bit about what you hope to use this show kind of for.
Yeah, so a lot of my plays, I run my own sports betting Discord, as you know, and a lot of people in there call me Mr. 400 because I love those plus 400 parlays. I do pretty good at consistently hitting those. So that's something you play something at plus 400, throw $30 on it, win 150. It kind of not too risky, but it's like enough odds where it can make you profit some. I do like playing some straights and some builders too. They're definitely not as fun or as sexy as the parlays, but they're also important because if you're only playing parlays and that's all you play, you're probably going to be down a lot unit money wise. So those builders and those straights, those kind of just help maintain your bankroll. So like, if you play a parlay and you lose, but you have that safe builder that you cashed, you're not really losing money in the end. You're still kind of breaking even. You're not really losing a whole lot. So it's just kind of finding the good reads, finding the good plays. I spend about 2 to 4 hours a day digging into my plays, researching. I dissect everything at every angle, so I usually have a pretty good read on stuff, and you know that's why I usually am usually up and profitable because even if my parlays aren't hitting, my builders and my straights are, and then there's times where my builders, straights, and parlays are all hitting, and it's a really nice day.
Yeah, like I said, I'm somebody who the parlays are the way to go. I don't normally hit. I went through the stretch a couple years back when I really thought Cole Kmet was going to be big time for this offense. And every single week, I bet Cole Kmet anytime touchdown on top of a few other plays. And I would hit every single one except for that one. And that's the risky part, though, about those parlays. You get hit 6 out of 7, and then that one just kind of screws you over. And there's memes and stuff all over about that one leg that misses and all that stuff. But I think personally, it makes it a little bit more fun when you have a bunch of different things that you have to have happen to win. It keeps you more engaged in the game and that kind of stuff. So, we're here to talk a couple plays that you had. We can kind of just get into each one. We'll start with your single plays, and then we'll get into some parlays, and then you have a big parlay at the end that we'll talk about. But first off, you picked KC money line. Why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit about why you picked the KC to win?
Yeah, so listen, as soon as the Super Bowl was announced, I started dissecting this game at every single angle. And it seems like a lot of the universe is on San Francisco, and I get it. They had an incredible regular season. Um, the Chiefs looked very on and off. The Chiefs did look the Chiefs most of the season, but it's still Mahomes and it's the playoffs, and it just seems like when the playoffs hit, whatever happened in that regular season, it just seems like it doesn't matter anymore. If
Right.
you look at how both teams have played in this postseason so far, Mahomes just looks confident. Like every single time you see him, he just has that look like he knows he's still gonna win. You know, Purdy, you can tell a lot in that game versus the Lions. You could tell that he had some face expressions where he was starting to wonder if they were going to win that game or not. And granted, he great second half, but the Chiefs just look more confident right now than the Niners. And then adding the fact that 30 struggled. He threw four interceptions. That was a big spotlight game. He threw four picks that game. He's looked very rattled so far in the playoffs, aside from the one good second half last week. And the pressure it takes in the Super Bowl is a real thing. So it's not just the game itself, the media, how to handle the media leading up to it, the media days they do, the interviews they do, and then the game itself. Knowing the entire world is watching this game, so Mahomes clearly knows how to handle that pressure. He knows how to contain that all, and he knows how to perform. We don't really know that. All that we've seen big games. Kelsey's been Kelsey's playoffs so far. Mahomes has been back so far. Andy Reid, we know that he has tricks up his sleeve. It's a Super Bowl. We might be seeing crazy stuff, but Kelsey rushing a touchdown tonight. You just see that kind of stuff with Andy Reid. And Shanahan's a good coach too. It really is a coin toss type of game. I think it's gonna be a really good game. I can make arguments for either team winning this game, but just with the way the Chiefs have been playing and look at the road that they had to take in the playoffs. Beating the Ravens, beating the Bills, top top that they had to win, and they got through. The San Francisco 49ers had an easier, not an easy road, but an easier road than the Chiefs have. So when you're going to give me a game like this and either team can win, and we know what Mahomes can do, we know what Mahomes does in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, you keep giving me a plus odds, I'm going to keep taking it.
Right.
Been the underdog the last 2 weeks. He's been counted out. We've gotten the Chiefs at plus odds. I've taken them both times. And I said after last week, like, if you keep giving me the Chiefs at plus money, I'm going to keep taking it.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, the whole knock on him going into this little run for the playoffs was, oh, well, he's never played on the road. He's always been at home. He's had the luxury of never having to travel for these games. And then he goes on the road not only once, but twice. And some big time games against the Bills and against Baltimore. And he's able to come out on top. Granted, they might not have been the prettiest games, but, you got a guy in Patrick Mahomes who's been to the AFC Championship game, 4 times the last 4 years, right?
Yeah,
Or
he's been there every year so far. He's not had 1 year yet where he's not played in it.
yeah, what's this? His 6th year, right? Something like that.
Fourth or fifth.
Fourth, I think it's his 5th year. But yeah, he's been in 4 Super Bowls in 5 years. I mean,
and the only reason why they lost that one Super Bowl, honestly, is just the fact that their whole offensive line was decimated. And
yeah,
Tampa had a stacked defense with a stacked D line, and they just tore that O line apart.
yeah, and I mean, you played against Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the shadow that he's kind of chasing right now. He wins today, and that's 3 Super Bowls for him. And to think of that is kind of insane. Just purely on how that doesn't really happen a lot leading up. We had the Patriots for a little while with Tom Brady, but then even they had a little bit of a gap. I think it was like 9 or 10 years between Super Bowl appearances where they were building that team back up. And then once they got back there, it was just like they were there consistently. I'm not one of those haters like all these people like, oh, screw Patrick Mahomes. I want the Chiefs to lose, oh, Taylor Swift this and Travis Kelce that. But like, the older I get, the more I appreciate greatness, right? Like I always had a problem with LeBron being a Chicago sports fan, LeBron versus Jordan. I always went Jordan, obviously. But, thinking back on it now, it's like, yeah, but watching LeBron do what he did, especially at the age that he is now, you're seeing greatness. You're watching Patrick Mahomes right now being great. you watch Tom Brady be great. I'm all for letting the greats be great. So I think I'm right there with you with Kansas City. I think they're going to go into this Super Bowl and I think they're going to win. I don't even think it's going to be that close, but we'll get into our kind of final predictions a little bit later. You do have another play here with, let me get it. Each team scoring a touchdown and a field goal in the first half. So, what are your thoughts on that?
So this one is just more of like it's more of like a fun bet for me. So I like the kickers in this game. I think both defenses are good, and we also have two good offenses. So I have hit this play a couple times. Obviously, when you play something at these odds, it's a very very big long shot to hit. But you have two offenses that can drive down the field, and you also have two defenses that can stop them, and the bend but don't break mentality. Um, so these teams are going to get in the end zone. The fact that they're going to get down in the other opponent's zone and they get help for a field goal at least once. I can see it happening. I can see a big play getting down to like the 30-yard line. But then once you get down there, like that football field shortens for you, so you don't have the whole field to play with. Sometimes it's harder to get in at that point, and these are two defenses that can stop that from happening. So, I threw, as you can see, I had some free bets on this one that I threw $15 on, and I can see what my payout was. I'm trying to remember what my payout on that was, but I normally cut out my what I'm wagering because in my Discord a lot of people would follow exactly what I bet, but what's really important with betting is find they call it a unit. You find out what your unit is. Whether it's $10, whether it's $5, whether it's $20. Find out what your unit is. Where if you put a full unit on something and you lost, it's not going to hurt you financially.
Right.
Uh, so figuring that out is important. So anytime I put a bet out, I'll bet like 1 unit, half a unit, point 0.4 units, stuff like that. So people were not following my unit advice and they were just betting the exact money, and then they'd be like, oh, like I didn't have that money to wager. So it's kind of like that's why I kind of like this frame we got down here, the bet responsibly. I cannot preach that enough. Don't bet or wager money that you cannot afford to lose, and don't ever, if you lose, don't chase your bets. Like that's just a big thing. A lot of people do it, and that's how you get yourself in a hole.
Yeah, like we're not responsible if these bets don't hit, and people seem to, oh well, you told me to hit this and it didn't work, and like yeah, that's why it's gambling.
Mm.
Everybody, like if you don't understand the aspect of gambling, odds are you're not going to win, but you're gambling with taking a chance that you are going to win. So I like this play too. I think both these teams have offenses that, for the most part, have been able to move down the field during the playoffs. KC, I think, has a little bit more of a struggle in terms of weapons, especially against that 49er defense. But I could still see a situation where, you get a guy out burning past a blown coverage or something, and Patrick Mahomes makes you pay for it. Travis Kelce, I think, is going to have a big game, mostly because I think he's just going to want to shine out for his girl up in the suite, and I think there was rumors about, potentially him retiring after this game if they win because him and his brother want to go into the hall together. So I think that they're going to look to try to make him have a pretty big game. And then now we go into kickers. Um, Let me know a little bit about what your thoughts are on this play.
So my play that I like more than like a lot is Bucker over 1.5 field goals. He's so used to having pressure kicks. He's so used to having the spotlight on him. When he needs to make a big kick, he's done it consistently. So I'm not worried about if he has a chance to make it. If he will, granted there is a chance he still will miss, but I'll take my chances that he's gonna make it. Kind of feeding off of that last play. I think the Chiefs get downfield, and I like the over 1.5 field goals. And this is for the game, not a half. So, um, if if I'm right and he gets those two field goals, that's 3 points each. So the two field goals is already at 6 points. So assuming he gets that, you can get two more, just two touchdowns with the two extra points puts you at the 8 points. So the way I look at it is the Chiefs just need two field goals and two touchdowns to get this. A lot of books had his over 1.5 field goals at like minus 120, and you can get this at plus for plus money at plus 102. Granted, there's a little more risk in it because you need the Chiefs to get two touchdowns, but I'm willing to take the chance that they get two touchdowns.
Yeah, two touchdowns in 4 quarters, I think, is a pretty realistic goal for this Kansas City team. And then, let's say they are playing from behind, they're going to have to, try to move the ball a little quicker. And I always think Patrick Mahomes does a lot better when he's able to just go instead of having to like think. I think a lot of quarterbacks do that, but I definitely two, maybe even, three touchdowns, depending on the point in the game. I think it's real realistic for him to have plenty of opportunity to hit that 7.5. Um, now, now we get into some fun stuff. Those parlays. We'll start with one same game that we have here at plus 404. Why don't you break that down for us? Tell us a little bit about each spot.
Yeah, so FanDuel has a Super Bowl no sweat parlay promo. Everyone's max is different. Some have $5 max, $10 max, 25, 50, 100. Everyone's max is different. It usually depends on how much you bet, how much you wagered on FanDuel to determine how much that risk free is. So this is what I'm playing for my risk free. Just in the Super Bowl, Mahomes and Purdy for 200. I think both guys they have the weapons to get the ball to. You have, Purdy has Kittle, he has Ayuk, he has Debo, he has C-Mac that he can throw the ball out of the backfield. Mahomes has Kelsey, he has Rashee Rice, who's really coming along. Pacheco, he can check down to in the in the backfield as well. So, in the biggest game of the year, to tell me that they're not going to hit 200, I'd be kind of shocked. Um, Kelsey for 50. Like, listen, when we've seen these playoffs so far, you can just see Mahomes just feeding up Kelsey. He's running off Kelsey in these games. So I would be very shocked if Kelsey does not get 50 yards this game, as I think he's going to be the main guy that Mahomes is going to try to get the ball to consistently throughout the game. And speaking of Kelsey, actually, it's not a play I sent to you, but it's actually a play I've been thinking I'm going to take. There's a prop bet on FanDuel where you can get Kelsey for 25 receiving yards in each half at plus like 100, and then also 50 yards in each half at plus 307. So just to kind of tell you how much I like Kelsey this game, I'm debating on taking both of those plays as well. George Kittle, 25 yards, I feel should be pretty easy for him. Purdy likes his tight ends. He's not throw the ball down the field, stretch the field kind of guy. He likes those 10 to 20 yard passes, which is perfect for a guy like Kittle. Uh, Again, this big game, I think Purdy looks for Kittle. At the very least, is like a safety net type of guy. And then we get to C-Mac, Christian McCaffrey, 60 yards. The Chiefs do have a good defense, but Christian McCaffrey's been tearing up the running game. He's when holes are not there, he's still making holes where there should not be holes, and he's a few breaking tackles away from running for a 30-40 yard gain. So uh, I think the 49ers feed McCaffrey a lot this game. I think they try to run off C-Mac this game. So I like Christian McCaffrey getting the 60 yards. And then Pacheco for 40. Again, I think it should be pretty easy. We saw the Detroit Lions run on the 49ers last 2 weeks ago, and they ran pretty well against them. So this team has been giving up some of the rushing yards. I do like Pacheco to get 40 today, especially if the Chiefs are winning like I expect them to be. They could be running with him even more, trying to wind down the clock. So I like that. Like I like Pacheco for 40, and then Debo for 40. It just seems like Purdy's going to him more than Ayuk lately. I also think that there's a chance that we might see Ayuk getting some double teams, leaving Debo a little more open. And there's so many ways you can get this. A couple of slants, couple posts. There's even one where they do a jet sweep and Purdy tosses it in front of him, Debo, on an end around. And even though it looks like a handoff, if that's a toss in front of him like that, that's always considered a pass. So they're like, just when it comes down to it, the way that Debo can nickel and dime those yards, I think he can get to 40. Again, it goes along the lines of I think the Chiefs are going to be leading this game, and the which also means the 49ers will have to throw more. So I think Debo's their biggest playmaker and biggest playmaker potentially in the passing game. So I like him to get 40. And then to cap us off, we have two great offenses, a lot of playmakers on both sides of the ball. Um, I don't see this game staying under 40 points. So kind
No,
of a
especially with your first half, touchdown and field goal each team, you're already setting yourself up for what is that, 30 points by halftime? So, I mean, no, not 30. I'm an
20.
idiot. So 20 points at halftime. So, I mean, you're already halfway there by halftime. That's if they don't score any other points except those. I think, most of the time the Super Bowl starts out slow. A lot of the teams like to, feel out the other team. They don't want to make that big mistake, but the Chiefs have been there, done that. You know what I mean? So I feel like they're not going to be interested in starting slow. I feel like they're going to come out hot and heavy and try to put this game away quickly,
I agree.
especially knowing the halftime performance is usually a little bit longer. They'll be able to catch their breath at halftime if they have to start fast. I think I really like this card a lot. We also have another same game that you got up here at plus 100. Um, why don't you give us a little bit about this? I know it's pretty similar, a lot of these plays, to that last one you talked about, but
Yeah, this one is pretty much a lot of the legs from that last game just watered down a little more. Kittle for 25. You can't go less than that on FanDuel. So, um, but I think that's a leg that should easily hit. Kelsey, I went from 60 yards to 40 yards. I watered down his receiving yards. Pacheco, I kept at 40, and then C-Mac, I watered down from 60 to 50. And then the over 26, essentially, it was minus like 110 or minus 105, and I threw the over 26 to get us a plus money because there's just no shot this game doesn't go over that. This is kind of one of those plays I was explaining at the start of the show. This is just a builder play, so I know they're not as sexy or as fun, but it's one of those, bet $10 to win your $10 back, or your 50 to win your $50 back. Um, it's these are those builder plays that just help maintain your bankroll, and it just kind of helps you. If your big bets don't win, these straights and these builders help maintain that bankroll for you.
right. Um, and then we have one more final one. You called that the lotto play. I'm gonna have to make a cool little video that just like jackpots hitting and shit before we play this one on the future shows. But we're gonna jump into that one real quick right here. It's a lot more yardage for a lot of those guys that you've already talked about. But give me your thoughts on, I know this one's more of a out there on a limb type of play, but those numbers don't seem insane for any of these guys to elapse.
Yeah. So my whole thing was these are the guys when I broke down the game, like these are the guys I just really feel good about having a day. Both defenses are pretty decent, so um, it's hard finding forcing other plays, and sometimes it is risky when you're having similar guys and similar plays. It is definitely a risk, but these are just like my reads. I did my parlay on what I like for that plus 400. I watered it down as a builder, and then I'm gonna spike them up for a lotto, because sometimes when you feel like you have a good look on something, you just kind of want to roll with it. This one is definitely, as you said, more of a long shot, but I think, like I said, I think they feed Kelsey a lot early and often, and I think he has a big game today. I like him for 80. I like the Debo for 40. That is pretty much the same leg as my other one, except I have this on a lotto now. And then C-Mac for 70. Same thing. I think he gets a lot of rushing. He can easily break one for 30 or 40. So I know in this one I know I boosted Pacheco up to 60. Same thing though. I that Niners defense got eaten up alive, so I'll take my chances that he could possibly get up to 60 yards between just breaking runs throughout the game, and then especially if they're winning and he has to run more. Kittle for 25, as you see, I love that leg. I would be very, very shocked if Kittle does not get 25 yards. So that's why I've kind of put him on every leg. And then the Chiefs minus 2.5, like that's where the risk is. I get that, but these odds were plus 700. So for those who don't understand what that means, essentially plus 700, you can bet $10, you would profit 70. Um, that went from that to plus 1843, which is bet $10 and you win $184.30 just by adding the Chiefs to win by three. So you can increase your winnings by $110 for the Chiefs to win a game by three. So anytime you're going to give me that kind of value for the Chiefs, I'll take it. I've had a couple people tell me they're gonna tail this play, but they're leaving the Chiefs off because they think the Niners win. I mean, listen, if you want to do that, that's fine. This is just a risk I'm kind of taking, just because uh, not because I don't think there's any way the Niners win, but it's more just I love the value of that leg getting added. You're muted.
It makes sense, especially if you're going to go with KC and the money line. Why not throw that on there? Most of these Super Bowls have been pretty close the last few years. So to think KC will, blow out the 49ers, especially with the quality of defense that both these teams have. But like I said, I think you're looking at two offenses that are just on another level in terms of how they scheme guys open, how they make use of all their players. I know there's a lot of talk with receivers for KC not really doing what they need to do, but I don't believe Kadarius Toney is playing today, which is a weapon that, I mean, he was up and down all season. So now you're giving more play to guys like Pacheco and Kelsey. I think those two guys are going to be the main guys in this Super Bowl for KC, and you this is a situation where they try to take away Kelsey. Pacheco's shown that he can do what he needs to do to help this team win, and vice versa. So I think, I really like that play. I'm actually really considering going with this one. Just like I said, it's always fun to bet big on these games, especially the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is what every football fan waits for when they know their team is out of it. And the Bears have been out of it for a long time. So I've been waiting for this game just to get here to see who was playing. Then you got the halftime show. I know this isn't really a Super Bowl show, but we are talking about the Super Bowl. Snacks and shit like that. That's always the best part of the Super Bowl. And the halftime show, I know a lot of people weren't really hyped when they saw Usher was the performer, but I'm hearing rumors of Alicia Keys and Ludacris, Lil Jon, and Justin Bieber. Maybe like this could be a top-notch halftime show. I thought last year's was good. What is your what's one of your favorite Super Bowl halftime performances that you've watched?
See, a lot of people will tell me like, "Oh, I don't like Usher," and I don't like this person, and like the thing is for me is like I don't think it really matters how much you like that person. Like no one's telling you to go see them in concert. It just
Right.
if they put an entertaining show together in those 20, 30 minutes, whatever, long the show is. And, you know, I think Usher is love him or hate him, he's an entertaining dude. So
Yep.
he's gonna put on a show. I do like it. I think my favorite when I think of some of my favorite halftime shows, the number one that kind of sticks out to me is the Katy Perry one. I thought the Katy Perry halftime show was really really good, and like I said, I'm not this big huge Katy Perry fan, but she put on a hell of a show that day.
Yeah, I mean, and then you had Rihanna pregnant up out there, just doing some crazy stuff, hanging from the ceiling and all this stuff. It's, I think, Prince was a good one when the Bears were at the Super Bowl. Purple Rain. It's raining down in Florida. That was pretty entertaining. Um, there's a lot of people who just tune in to the Super Bowl just to watch the halftime performance or the commercials.
Right.
My son's mother, she was not a football fan, but she always liked to watch the commercials and the halftime whenever it was on. So, there's a little bit of everything for everybody, and Taylor Swift's going to be there. So, if you're a Swiftie, hey, enjoy. I'm a big time T Swift fan. People think that that's crazy, but I got to go see her when I was in senior year of high school with an ex-girlfriend of mine, and that was pretty sweet. Now, what kind of snacks does your table have? What's the spread look like for you during the Super Bowl?
I make a really good homemade buffalo chicken dip. So I will be making that. Have a get like a buffalo chicken dip, and then get some chips. You can some good crackers with that dip is pretty good. I love like a meat tray. Get some like salami and pepperoni and some crackers out, stuff like that. Um, in the past, I've done stuff where like I've just kind of either just like grilled some steaks or grilled some burgers or stuff like that. But it's more like those, like you said, like those appetizers, just a snack
Mm-hmm.
after the game. Like I like those, those meat trays. I'll make my buffalo chicken dip with some crackers and get some potato chips out, and just some stuff like that. So
Yeah,
what
it's
about
that
you?
casual snacking, especially with how long the Super Bowl is. Like, if you're having big ass snacks the whole time, you might not be able to get off the couch, And I'm like my dad and I, we do these like individual nachos where we get big tortilla chips and we put like all the ingredients on one nacho, and we have a few of those. Big fan of like pulled pork. Deviled eggs are always on point. Yeah, man, I just meat tray. You can never go wrong with that. Cheese. I'm in Wisconsin, so you go down the street and there's cheese everywhere. So it's I'm really looking forward to this game. I know that we want to try to have this show, once a week, maybe once every other week. With especially right now with football being over, there's still other sports. I know people don't really like to hear that, but there's other sports that you can bet on. NBA, baseball starting up pretty soon. I know you like to do, what'd you say, golf and stuff like that.
And
So
NASCAR and golf, I do.
yeah, NASCAR and golf. So there's going to be opportunities for you guys to make some money, and we're looking forward to bringing this show to you guys. Mike, I thank you for coming on with me today. I know it's a short
Definitely.
show, but I think these kind of shows are best set to the 30-minute time limit. If we go a little over, but I think we hit the points, and I'm going to run through these one more time so that people can catch them, and then we'll cut it, and we'll see you guys next week.
Sounds good.
I'm undefeated.